and you hadn't paid one. Well, the time to get it right is not in the courtroom. It's a little bit late when it's gotten that far. And when it's gotten that far, you're about to get the judgments that's going to be handed down to you, the penalty that's going to be handed down to you for those tickets. And that's what God is showing. He was talking mainly to the children of Israel. And in their mind, when that judgment time was coming, they were happy. They were happy. But um, the message was, and that was from the prophet. Get his name right in a minute. Y'all have to just. I have to go back in and find it. But he was telling them, uh, basically, are y'all sure? Y'all are happy about it, but it's not going to be what y'all think it is. And I forgot how you clarified it, Deacon, when we were in Sunday school. You made a statement, and I'm trying to remember how you said it. But when we were talking about week before last lesson about the judgment, how so many times people think that, oh yeah, the judgment coming. And here it's so amazing how a lot of times we'll do it. We want to say we're going to use that judgment time to point out everybody else's shortcoming. We're going to sit up and say, well, hey, you know what? Well, I just did this. So, Paula did 20 times what I did. That's not what we're here for. That's not, God don't care about that. Paula could have done 350 sins to my one. I'm going to still be judged. And, and then there are others who are on this level of hierarchy. They think, okay, well, y'all are, we're up here and y'all are down there, so we're going to be judged different. No, rich, poor, indifferent. The playing field is level. And when seeking justice, and that's the good thing about God, the justice that God doles out is not based on a tier, based on how much you sin. Oh, I didn't do but 5 sins all my life. You did 20. I ain't do but 1 of mine. Well, guess what? Judgment. Period. Not how. Yeah, exactly. I was just a, that's just like when people classify lies. It's a little white. Oh, it's just a little white lie. It's a lie. Period. I mean, little white one, big white one, little green one, whatever color you want to put on it, it's still a lie that's going to require judgment. And and a lot of times, even though we'll have the levels of judgment, we can atone a lot of stuff by going to the people ourselves. If I've wronged deep, and sometimes I might not have known it, but if it comes up, then my point is to handle it right then and say, I apologize. Would you forgive me? But when I know that I've done wrong, then it's totally on me. Because God's not going to forgive me if I can't go and correct my wrongs. And if somebody has wronged me, that I can't forgive them, I can't expect him to forgive me if I won't forgive the next man. Who am I? And that's what he wants us to see. And so his justice goes across the board. It has no, it has no, oh, I'll do this and you do that. No, the justice is like a level playing field across the board. And it's so amazing how getting it right sometimes is uneasy. It's really uneasy sometimes. It gets you in an uncomfortable spot. But when we know it's right, then guess what? That's it. Oh, I thought you were about to say something. So, but it gets us in that spot, and sometimes we have to realize, okay, you got to get uncomfortable to get to where you need to be. You got to get uncomfortable to get right. Go ahead. Thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. And see, and that was the other part I was about to get to next, because I know we had that discussion. That was a throw up in Sunday school that morning. It was like, hey, if I ain't did nothing wrong, why I gotta go? But that's what the word tells us, because here it is. Guess what? He said, and I know we've restated this, and we'll probably restate it, every lesson or every week. But he said we were made in his image, not in our own. We're made in his image. He does nothing wrong to us, and he still forgives. We do the wrong.
I guess you look at it like I said, he didn't do anything wrong. We are steady sinning against him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He though he's sinning against him, he still is giving us life and still the test.
Yes.
So I guess you're saying that hey, look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go to him and get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have it on. What you're saying, don't have anything on your conscience.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That means you said, don't let the sun go down
On your wrath.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, if you know somebody that have did you wrong, you're gonna be mad with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when he's saying, hey, get that out your system, get that right.
Mm-hmm. You get it right. Yeah. And then, like we said last,
if they don't accept it,
then it's on them. And it's like we said last week, it's like, I'm not responsible for what you do. I'm only responsible for what I do. And if my relationship with God, I have to keep my relationship in a positive status all the time with God. Because if I'm at this point where I'm overdrawn and I'm negative with God, then that's my fault. I have an opportunity each time to go and fix whatever it is. If somebody has done me wrong, like you said, and I'm a Christian and I'm up here and I'm singing praises and doing all this to God, and then I got this alt down in my heart against that person, and that same person just walked in the church, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know why she here, why he here. I'm sitting up here. There's no purity in my praising. There's no purity in my teaching. There's no purity in anything when I'm sitting here and I got this festering down in me. So here's the thing. God don't look at, we can fool anybody sometimes, but we can never fool God, because of the simple fact that I'm sitting up here and I can plead my case on that day of judgment and say, Lord, I taught for you. You taught for you. He'll reverse that and say, no, I don't know you. He's because you were doing these things and you had this in your heart while you were teaching. So you wasn't doing that to me. You were doing it to please people. Or, I praised and I sang this song and I prayed to you, but yet and still, I'm praying and I hate Miss Barbara. How good, what good is that? He said we was honor him and we're in spirit and in truth. Everything we do, he said also he would rather us to be either what, hot or cold. But if we're lukewarm, that means if I'm sitting up here and I know, if I have a problem and I know I'm up here on the praising and being the front face for the church, I should be able to go to the board and say, hey, I'm not in a position to do this today. I should be honest enough to say that, because I got something. It's just like taking communion. Your communion is your communion with God. It's not looking around to see who is watching you take communion. If you have that alt in your spirit, he advises us not to take it. And some people won't. Some people will still take it because they don't want other people to say, well, something wrong. Wonder why I didn't take it. It's not your business why I didn't take it right now. That's between me and God. And I can say in my younger walk with him, I was like that. I can know I might have done something wrong or have this feeling, and I would still take it because I didn't want people to sit up, look at me and say, well, he didn't take communion today. And growing up in a smaller church where everybody know you, it would be like, okay, you cannot take it. And I'm just, we must be transparent about it because I've been there. But when God started showing me, it's like, this ain't about you. This is not about you. Why are you sitting there worried about them? when you have this feeling right here, this is between me and you. You taking this in damnation to your own self. But when you have purged and clarified your heart, and you know, okay, right now, he didn't say we had to just wait till one time in a month to commune with him now. We can do it as he said it often as you do this in remembrance of me. If I took and say, hey, at 12 o'clock on Wednesday night, by me and God, I can do that. I mean, that's what I feel. Now, corporate communion is what we do in the church, yes. But we can have that one-on-one. We're supposed to have that one-on-one. We're supposed to talk to him. We're supposed to have a relationship with him. We're supposed to be able to rely and trust in him at all times. But in essence is the judgment comes directly from him. We're not worried about what anybody else on the outside thinking. We shouldn't. And I say shouldn't because we are human.
Well, I think God wants us to see. It's hard for us to do this. God wants us to separate the sin from the person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, He wants us to hate the sin that they do.
Exactly.
But still love them because he does the same thing for us.
Yeah.
He hates the sin that we do, but it's for us. He loves us and he wants us to be the same way.
Yes.
And we seem to can't do that, but we say we have his spirit in us. We have his spirit in us.
You can do.
Be able to do that.
Yes.
But sometimes it's hard to separate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we if somebody do something to us, we hate them.
Yeah.
Instead of hating the sin
Mm-hmm.
that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And still love them because we'll say, well, man, I know how to handle them now. You know, serve with long handle.
Yeah.
He said, look,
Yeah.
grateful.
Yes.
You know, but you know, we'll slowly ease away from him or all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. He just said it.
Yeah.
He just said it.
Mm-hmm.
If someone do you wrong, and if you slowly start being friends, well, how can you change them? How can you? No, he's saying love will change them.
Yes.
Show love toward them,
Mm-hmm.
even though they be doing you wrong. It'll change.
Yes.
And but you know we kind of got that backwards. I know it's hard. Hey, even though you know you have it's really hard to. A lot of people say, well, no, it ain't hard.
Oh, it's difficult.
It is. You know,
Mhm.
like I say, it's a growing thing. You got it
Mhm.
just don't come. It just have to slowly grow. The more you get in the word, and the more you start understanding,
Mhm.
then you can kind of
Yeah. But it goes back to, that goes back to the motto that you preach to us. You've preached to us ever since I've known you. You preach to us every single time. Which man? It's according to which man you're feeding. If you are seeking to build that spiritual man, even building the spiritual aspect of yourself, it's still hard. But if you don't spend any time building the spirit man and you're allowing the flesh man to rise up each time and control everything that you do, God didn't say we were going to be perfect. God didn't say not one time that we weren't going to have difficulties making these decisions. He didn't say that. That it's evident in all the ones that followed him in his own word. It's evident in the disciples that were around him that they had trouble with all these issues that were coming up. However, it was a process. Go ahead.
because like I say, he said through him you could do all things. It's like when God was a human being on earth.
Mm-hmm.
He needed the Father to follow
Yes.
him on earth. That's when he needed him. He felt every emotion that
Yep.
he felt every emotion. Now,
Mhm.
you don't think that a lot of that emotion was strong enough with, hey, that if he hadn't had God to guide him,
Mhm.
that he wouldn't have failed to that.
Yeah.
Everybody said, well, he was Jesus. No, he felt every emotion
Mhm.
that we felt.
Yeah.
He had every emotion, every feeling.
Yeah, and it goes even when he was up on the Mount of Transfiguration when he said, "Let this cup pass me." Think about who he was, and he even if as strong as he was like, "Lord, look, this cup. I don't know if I want to do this. This hard for me. Let your So if he had that stumbling block, then he knew we were gonna have it.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew that. That was just it's evident, it's clear that we were gonna have those same issues. But once again, we talked, was it last week and the week before, about the fact that he took on these things so there will be basically no excuse. We can't sit up and say he don't know what we went through, what we're going through. We can't sit up and say that, because, like you said, he immersed himself into the flesh, and it was a warring situation at all time. But at the same time, you said that he constantly prayed, because he had to see, even though he was both God and man, so he was the spirit and the flesh at the same time. He had to be that spirit man, because that flesh man was in a difficult situation all the time. And if you're praying for guidance. I mean, that's what we are. The prayer is for guidance. You know, the prayer is for a level of repentance on a daily basis, simply because, Lord, I know I'm about to mess up right now. I mean, we might as well be honest with ourselves. I'm about to mess up. I need you. You know, Lord, you know, my mind ain't right now. I need you. You know, my thoughts are not right. You know, I need you. And that's what we have to be at that point, because a lot of times, or oftentimes, we get into situations that we think we can handle, and we're too, let me use a word that my mom and my grandma are too stout-hearted to get off of it and let God handle it. We just want to be the one that's in control of it, and not realizing it's whipping us up and down. But we are so much to the point where we just want to hold on to it. And instead of just saying, Lord, you know what? I can't handle this. Here, I'm done with it. You know, surrender it to him, and it'll fix. I mean, it's going to take its course, but it'll get fixed in the proper way. But as long as we're wrestling with it, we're going to get the same result. You know, it's just like the saying goes, it takes a fool to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. You know, a wise man knows, okay, it's time to change. If I'm messing up and I kept doing it this way, it's time to change something. And that's not easy, because what it does, it causes us to have to let go and to lose, you know, just to relinquish the control to someone else. You know, and the other part of that is just, it causes us to just straight out admit our weakness. And that's not an easy thing, you know. Anybody have anything they like to say on that particular part? I mean, anything, you know, just giving up the things, it puts us at a point where we feel vulnerable, you know. And, you know, but it goes back to when we study our word, he says, in our weakness, he is strong. When we learn to say, hey, I'm weak in this, that's when God says, I got you. You know, I got it. But when we show our strength all the time, we don't give God the chance, give him time, opportunity to say, I got you. Because when he says, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna kind of put this in a little bit of a parable, but it's like if God we struggling with something, we holding it, and it's so heavy we can't carry it, and God may be right there saying, I got it. We look back and I got it, I gotta go, I can handle it. But we keep on going, and the further we walk, the tighter we get and the heavier the load gets. We can't do anymore. But instead of just saying, you know, Lord, okay, when he says I got it, let's be honest enough with ourselves to say, okay, thank you. Thank you, Lord, because I can't handle this. I've gotten as far as I can get. I can't handle it. But like I said, this week, this unit is all on justice, seeking justice, and the fact that God requires justice. Anybody have anything they'd like to say right here? This week, we talked about ending injustice. And I'll just kind of read, you know, some excerpts from the lesson. And it was some it was some stuff that makes us get to the point where it brought it home, because these are things that we do. And I want y'all to listen to it closely. It says, now, ending injustice. In this lesson, we should be able to explain the justice of God in contrast to present human injustice, aspire to aid the establishment of justice and fairness for all, celebrate God as the source of a model of justice. I mean, we just talked about all those outcomes right there. So, we're coming from Habakkuk, and this is chapter 1, verses 1 through 4 right here. The prophecy that Habakkuk the prophet received: How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen, or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me, and there are strife and conflicts abound. Therefore, the law is paralyzed, and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted. And that last one is one I think it just kind of hinged on all of us when we were discussing it. Therefore the law is paralyzed, and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted. I'm gonna kind of just jump ahead and just look at that one for a second. If anybody have one that stood out to them, we can discuss it right now. But that one right there, we can look at ourselves, our ancestors. We can look at our ancestors and look at how our ancestors had to deal with perverted laws. We'll look at the word the slavery. Slavery was legal during the time that it was here, but it was perverted because it was literally paralyzed. Because what did it do? It was legal, but at the same time, it hurt certain people. And when the other things changed, the laws got perverted to the point where it's like, oh yeah, you can do this, but you can't do this because you're a different color. And there was suffering that had to go along with that, for according to which side you were on. There were benefits that went along with it according to which side you were on too.
Well, if you look at the justice system today,
Mm-hmm.
you like I know you talking about back in the day, but it's perverted today
Yes.
because it is swayed
Mm-hmm.
toward the Negro.
Mm-hmm.
I say the black,
Yeah.
African American,
Yeah.
or somebody like that.
Yeah. You called it what?
But y'all know
Yes.
it is the scales is unbalanced
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the black. You
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
When you got a black teenager or a black male or whatever, female or whatever, that's in jail. Let's say they selling drugs, selling weed.
Mm-hmm.
They in there for 20 years.
Yes.
You got a white that done killed 2 or 3 people, and they only get 4 or 5 years. If it ain't converted, something wrong. Something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you said we got a jail full of black males that have got 20 or more years.
Life.
Really nothing. And so it's not.
If we call a spade, I mean, they're unbalanced. The scales are unbalanced.
It's still unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's still free.
And like you said, and it's go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
And then you look at this and you wonder when it is ever gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like when it does seem to change, it seems to curve right back
Mm-hmm.
the way it is. Really and truly, you look at it, it's still the same as it was
Yes.
back 50 years ago.
Yeah.
The only thing of it is that the blacks are just done got a little bit more, you know. We done kind of came up a little bit,
Yeah.
but if we're at the justice system, it's still the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's still the same.
Yeah.
When it comes to black people,
It's swaying. It's still swaying.
it's still the same. Haven't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't changed at all.
You know, and people, you know, and I mean, until people have walked in the shoes that we walk in, they'll never understand it, and they'll never share our strife. Because what we, you know, when you look at it from that perspective, well, based on the people who are on the outside looking in, we're just complaining. You know, we're just complaining. That's all they're doing. They're complaining. You know, they don't want to do anything. They're complaining. But until that level of experience, and what I'm saying is, I link that back to what God did. If He hadn't taken on that form of man, He wouldn't have understood. I don't. Well, I mean, I think He took it on to be that example, so we'll know that He understood. He wouldn't be on the outside looking in, saying we're gonna judge them because of what they did or didn't do, this sin, that sin. No, He took on that same thing. He experienced those same sins. He experienced that hate. He experienced that hate by His own people, not just the people on the outside, but He experienced the persecutions. He experienced all of this stuff. So it's a shared responsibility. So it's like, basically, I'm gonna lead us with you. You know, you have the same thing I had, basically. You know, your comforter is with you. He was in the flesh, but he was in the spirit, so his comforter was with him. So what do? We get to the point, once again, we start learning how to relinquish the power on stuff that we can't control and pray. But, you know, we have to do our part now. But understand, okay, Lord, this is beyond me. Let me seek your counsel in this, because I'm struggling with this. And when we do that, that burden is lifted. It becomes easier on us, because now we've matured to the point where we can say, I know I can't handle this. You know, I know I can't. I know this is beyond me. So let me just be mature enough to say it. You know. So, but anybody have anything else they'd like to say on either one of those? I mean, I'll reread them if you need me to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Anybody? Go ahead.
Coming from Mississippi, like it's a thing over there, and so it's just, I believe, I hope I'm saying it right, it's a slavery type mentality. And you know, I guess for me coming out of those areas, and you know, I'm pretty sure that everybody's been somewhere, but going to a place like Atlanta where a lot of black people are somewhat hierarchy
Yeah.
and being self-sufficient when it comes to being business owners and
Mm-hmm.
being producers for their community.
Yes.
I've been adamant, just trying to help the people in my circle
Mm-hmm.
know that, hey, you don't have to be a statistic, but be
Yeah.
more of a stand-up guy,
Yeah.
whatever realm you're in life,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's your cousins, children,
Yep.
or uncles. I don't care what kind
Mm-hmm.
of space you're in, just affect it
Yes.
in
In
a
a
positive way.
positive way. And here's the saying. This saying goes, and this saying stands true. It's not where you come from. It's where you're going. And once again, it goes back, like you said, baby. If you don't change your mindset, you're not going anywhere. You know, If we don't change, like you were saying, Lance, it's almost like an institutionalized failure. It's like you're programmed to just do this right here. This is as high as you need to go. Because if you get any higher, you're considered to be high and mighty. You get beside yourself. And that's the term that was formerly used, and it's kind of in the same sense used today. When when you can stand up and you can say whatever you have to say, you can do. But these are the experiences, and this, in this region that we all had to deal with. This whole southeast, region was just something that we had to deal with, and until that mindset changes, then it will be a perpetual cycle of the same thing. And these things in the past, and I know the thing is this thing that's been in the that Mike Bloomberg was brought out was the Greenwood Initiative, and I remember as a kid I used to love to watch the Discovery, and I watched the old Discovery and the PBS when they would have these real shows, they unedited shows on, and there was one called "Keep Your Eyes on the Prize," and there was one called I think it was "Walking to the Homeland" or something, but it documented these people who were still living on those plantations, and they were workers now, but it documented the lives of their parents that were slaves, and it was like it revealed a lot of stuff. And the Greenwood Initiative, I was so fascinated as a teenager when I heard about Greenwood, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, and it was like, oh wow. And it goes to show you started to see how they started to take the laws and change them when they saw the power that these people had within their own. They destroyed the city, they destroyed the whole region. I think it was and then people don't talk about the fact that they bombed that place. They literally bombed it and killed I think it was like 3,000 people at one time, innocently. But it's like they were self-sufficient. They had their own bank. They loaned to themselves. They were even loaning to outside sources, and these people didn't think they had to pay them, but they didn't realize that these people were smart enough. These were all legal documents that they signed. And that region of Oklahoma owned approximately I think it was like 80% of the state of Oklahoma and the land. And these were all black people. But it had to be destroyed. And Oklahoma became one of the earliest states that disbarred segregation and all that stuff for that reason. But they took those laws and changed them and made them to the benefit them.
But see, that's what really you can't get out of race. That if we as black people were born together,
Mhm.
that we would blow the white man's mind. He couldn't stand it because they know if blacks get together with their mindset that they can change the outcome of everything that's going on. But we don't understand.
Yeah.
We can't. If we would just if blacks just say, okay, one day not spend a dime. See on somebody you wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
blacks are the number one
Consumers.
buyers and everything else.
Yes. Yeah.
That one day,
Mhm.
that's all black said. We're not buying that
Yep.
day. Man, people be crazy. But we don't understand. We don't want
The power.
together. We can change things,
Mhm.
but we won't stay together.
Yep.
That's a good point.
We can change.
And then just kind of the route I take when talking to them, like we number one consumers pretty much. Like
Yeah.
our money pretty much run United States.
That's exactly right.
But just like the poll said the other day, we know who would vote for Trump. I say it like that. Y'all know who all we voted for what. We wouldn't go in that direction. Change. We'll come out for that.
But yes, but it's like, but it's amazing how Well, I won't say amazing because it's something that we already know. He told us in his whole word of, there are no new things. All of these things have happened before. All of these things, and this right here is just a mirrored example of what's happening. It's like I said, I'll read verses 1 through 4 again. It says, the prophecy that Habakkuk the prophet received. And here it is. It's kind of almost like this children of Israel type of situation. When I get to this one, it says, how long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen, or cry out unto you violence, but you do not save? And I'm saying the children of Israel because the children of Israel's problem was they were disobedient and had gotten away from him, didn't seek him for what he needed. But at the same time, imagine the gripes and the grumbles while they were going through, not realizing I'm still protecting y'all in the middle of this, because Nebuchadnezzar and his crew can do a lot of stuff, but he can't take your soul. And in the midst of you doing all these things, all that time of in captivity, the clothes never wore out, the shoes never wore out, based on the biblical, our biblical knowledge. And they never went hungry. Think about it. You in captivity, but I'm just gonna hypothetically say you eating good. You're not being tortured. That's God granting you grace and the mercy in the midst of whatever you're going through. When we think it's bad, but then we look around and see, oh, I could not have anything to eat. I don't want to eat chicken every day. That's that uneasy stuff, because it's like, and here it is right here, going back to what they were saying right here. They basically crying out. So let me paraphrase this. He said, Lord, we're ready for you, but we called you, but you didn't hear us. I'm just gonna paraphrase what the lesson was saying. Lord, all these people doing wrong. Why I got to keep looking at them? And if you God, then why are you not fixing that? I mean, because it ain't time. Yeah. Yeah.
Black, white, purple, everybody know who he is.
Yep.
But
Yep.
when man try to step into the equation and try to take over, now you feeding the flesh.
He do this.
It's so corrupt nowadays.
Where, like I say, if you truly, read the Bible, all of this has been foretold.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I keep telling people that don't believe it's gonna get worse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it's been foretold, it's gonna get worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's telling us you need to get as close to me as you can.
Yes. I'm warning you.
Because you're gonna need me.
Yeah.
You're gonna need me in these days. You might as well say last days.
Yes.
You're gonna need me in these last days.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to get a personal, close relationship with me, because
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna get worse
Mm-hmm.
than this.
Yep.
We think it's worse, but like I said, I pray for my grandkids and my great grand, because they the one who have to deal.
Yeah.
Because see, everybody hollering about, most of them that's up there that dealing in the White House or whatever, all this climate change and all this stuff, they don't believe none of this happening, but it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And our grandkids, great grand, is gonna have to deal with the
Yep.
way that we are leaving the world for leaving
Yep.
now.
We
They
good.
gonna have to deal with it.
Good.
Most of them gonna be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be gone. It's gonna, yeah.
The sad
It hurts me to think about
Yeah.
what they're gonna have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we need to get our children, sit them down, talk to them, get them in the Lord, because they gonna need God.
Yep.
They gonna need God.
Yep.
starting out. I think about my children, and Lord behold, they don't know how to plant a seed.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about consumers versus producers,
Yeah.
our ancestors was producers.
Yes.
Be self-sufficient.
Yep.
They can grow their own groceries and be just as healthy. I remember granddad was so healthy, lived a long time,
Yeah.
no kind of nothing in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So grandma, she didn't cook chicken until Friday.
Yeah.
And everything else, vegetables, all
Mm-hmm.
wheat,
Yep.
cornbread.
Yep.
You know what I mean? On Fridays, you get a chicken and it's fresh.
Oh, you good.
You good.
Straight out the yard.
We gonna have to pass that down some way or another.
Hey, we know y'all from the country.
People don't. I don't want to classify that one gender.
Yeah.
Don't even know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember when mom and grandmama, hey, you was in the house. You got all of them down at the stove.
You mix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, you had man was a man, man.
Yeah.
I was saying I ain't gonna cook. My grandma told me, boy, you don't get in here. I'm gonna cook something else. You may not never get that, but you won't know how to cook something.
Yep. You gonna know how to survive.
You don't have teaching their children now
A bond.
to do for themselves.
Yes.
If it wasn't for a microwave, some people would
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to hear somebody say, they go in there and say, man, I hate to cook. Why? All you do is fix and put it on the stove. You don't do nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody go there and burn. Start cooking there, and when I come there, it burn. I'm like, why do you let those burn?
Sit there, know your time.
What give me when I walk in the kitchen and the stove on high? Why is we speed cooking?
You may cook fast.
I got to a point where I stopped using them.
That's why she heated in the stove, But yeah, it's like you said, a lot of stuff. The self-sufficiency, we have to learn to be that. We have to learn to revert back to that. It's better to know how to do something, whether you need to do it, than to not know when you have to do it. Because you put yourself in a bad spot when you can't. I mean, and it's like it's things are not changing for the better. And if we don't learn to be those self-sufficient beings that, our, ancestors, our parents, groomed us to be, we'll be forever depending on a system that's failing. I know my thing is I used to wonder, man, why in the world do we got 4 gardens? I used to think, man, Daddy got to be the worst. But we'd have a garden just for the melons and stuff over here. We have, the peas and the corn and all that, and then we have other, a couple more gardens for, just greens, just straight greens in there. And I used to wonder why. But at the same time, all my years of growing up, we never wanted for a single meal. Never. I tell a lot of people all the time, going back to that chicken land, my grandma on a Friday, on a Thursday or Friday, she'd point out the chicken that she wanted. She said, I want that one right there. And we thought it was a game. We went out there to catch it. We chased that chicken. We chased that chicken, and whoever caught it first, that's who was the winner. And that was our thing. It was a game. But, and she would.
It was years before I even got a taste of bread.
Yeah, dog, you ain't touching that. And leg.
But the other thing today, though, was when we went to town, it was for flour, medicine, and milk.
That's it. That's it.
Everything else was bread. I can't remember one for nothing.
Mm-mm.
No clothes,
Nope.
shoes, nothing. He
Nope.
didn't have nothing. He was a crash sharecropper, but I can't remember.
Nope.
Medicine was the aloe plant.
That's it.
He rubbed aloe on it.
And- that was, that's what you rubbed up. That was your topical solution, and castor oil was your other medicine. That's it.
You didn't stay sick.
No. Oh, twice a year. Twice a year. Yes, sir.
You know, I witnessed something the other day at work. I think the female is about 22 years old. I don't fool with checks. I write my money orders out.
Mhm.
Pay my bills.
Yeah.
So I was at work writing out a few money orders, and she said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm paying my bills." She didn't know what a money order was. Didn't have an idea what a stamp was.
Nope.
Where you get that from?
It's say, yeah, exactly.
What do y'all do? Everything is online.
Yes.
Email.
Yeah.
You know, so
And all instant.
that's just sad.
Yeah.
But the thing is sad to say, but some, I had went to, you know how you go up in line and pay for your reservation cash.
Mhm.
And if the computer go down, they can't even get your change. I'm saying, sometimes I have to tell them what you.
How much you? Yeah.
And then sometimes when the computer show it up there, they still.
They still. Yes. It happened to me a week before last. I was in the restaurant, and it was the stuff that I got was like $15, no, $16.43. So I gave him $20.43, but I gave him $1. He sat there, and the guy laid the money out on the cash register, and he just looked at me, and he said, "Sir, it was only $16.43." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Sir," he didn't know what to do, and I guess by me being I don't want to sound racist, but by me being a larger black guy, I guess he figured I was about to go off. I'm like, he turned like flush red in the face, and he was sweating, and I said, "Yeah." So what he did, I'm gonna tell you what he did. He took the dollar that I gave him, took the 43 cents and just laid it over there, and then counted the $16 back. And I said, "No." He gave me 5 $1 bills back. And I said, I gave you the one so you can give me a 5 back. He said, "Will that be? Is that?" He wanted to ask, "Would that be all right?" I said, "It's the same thing." So, and it was so funny because, like you said, the cash register was showing him how much I would get back, but he only put the $16.43 in there, and he put the $16.43 in there as if that's what I gave him. I said, "No, put $21.43 on the inner side." I said, "Your total is already $16.43. It's popped up. Put $21.43 up there, and it will tell you the difference. You should owe me $5 back." And I said, "I just didn't want 5-1, so I just gave you an extra $1." He looked at me, and I was like, but it's that dependency, their total dependency on everything instead of just being able to depend on what we have been naturally given. You know, if you don't exercise it, well, like they said, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And that ability to do simple stuff, that's simple mathematics, that's simple daily survival skill. And when you're sitting there and it's like, Lord, you know, it's funny, it's comical to us because it's common sense to us. But at the same time, it's a crutch to a lot of them, and it's sad. It really is sad because somebody can really take advantage of a lot of them if they had to deal in straight currency all the time. Some of these kids never probably even seen money, like literally handle money, because somebody's giving it to them on a card all the time. So when they get the cash, it's like, what do I do with this? It's almost like you got the bull and the horns and you don't know what to do. You know, but it's sad. You know, But it's like people, you can't think, because a lot of times I'm just kind of growing up like that. I already know kind of what my change going to be before I even give it to you, you know, because you're counting it in your head. But nope, because they do this. Yes, Lord. Yep. Oh, you had to count it. Yeah. Yeah. All right, and I know we're down on time, but I just want to go with Luke. Do quickly listen to this second outline. It says, "Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, you will never die. You, Lord, have anointed them to execute judgment. You, my rock, have ordained them to punish." Now, with that being said, I'm just going to stick it right there, because look at what was happening right here. You know, a lot of times, here we go trying to tell God who he is. You know, we're trying to tell him, you know, we're trying to dare God, basically. So if you, going back to what the devil tried to do to Jesus, well, if you who you say you are, okay, well, if this is happening, can't you change it because you God, right? Yeah, I am. Yeah, he is. But like we said a minute ago, whatever he's going to do, it's going to be in his time. It's not in our time, and not in when we think he needs to do it, not in when we think we want it done or how we want it done. It is in his time. And thank God, the God that we serve don't give us things in our time. Because we ain't going to handle it. I mean, we can't handle everything. And sometimes he just give it to us. Okay, you want it that bad? Here, get it. Go ahead. You want it that bad? I'm going to give it to you right now. And then we really get the bull by the horns then, and that bull start bucking. And it's like, Lord, I can't, come get this bull. I can't handle it. No, you asked for it, so I'm going to give it to you. So that's the kind of God. He loves us enough to even give us that. But he loves us enough to sit there with us and say, okay, I got it. Now you ready to give it back to me? You know, that's the kind of love that he gives and shows us at all times. So, but like I said, guys, I know I think it was a good lesson. I think it was a good discussion, and I think anybody have anything they'd like to close with, or any closing remarks or comments? If not, we'd like to close with a quick prayer.
Father God, we come to say thank you. Thank you, Father, for your word this evening. Thank you for giving us understanding of your word.
Thank you, Lord.
Help us, Mr. Father, to carry it out and use it in our daily lives, Father, because you said go out the highways and hedges
Yes,
and
Lord.
tell the world about the goodness of you.
Yes.
Help us, miracle, Father, that each day that we represent you, that someone see you in us.
Yes.
Let us be a blessing to someone.
Yes.
Because that is what we are here for. We are your instruments. And help us to be that.
Yes, Lord.
Your will be on earth to help somebody. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.